crazy alternative broadcast here as my normal StreamYard app is not working. So let me see if I can fix one thing real quick and we will get this officially going. Uh, First of all, Joe, dude, uh, how are you doing?
I'm great, man. It's great to see you. I appreciate the invite, dude. It's good to chop it up again.
I know. This isn't how I intended our reunion to happen. Let me let everybody know the new URL so people can actually find us. We are at this URL. Okay. Let me put it on the other. Uh, Go here. Okay. Dude, so first of all,
Yeah,
congratulations. How are you doing, my friend? You're officially married. How'd
married
that
man.
go?
Oh, it was phenomenal. It's wild to have like 14 months of kind of build up to something, and then it all happens in a day. And it's man, it was truly a dream, though. It was awesome. Honeymoon in Hawaii was awesome. Life's good, man. Life's really, really good. So I appreciate the congrats.
Well, as exciting as that is, I do have some potentially bad news for you.
Oh no, what's up?
You may have some competition in the Las Vegas real estate market. Did you
Yes, I
hear
saw that when I
Tyler
woke up
Lockett's
this morning.
coming
I
to town?
know. I know. I owe him a text message once I hang up with you. Would love to see him. We keep up every kind of now and again just because of the real estate world. But I saw this morning that he's signing with the Raiders. So I like how it's just like, you know what? Screw winning. I'm just gonna go hang out with my friends for a little bit.
Pretty much, pretty much. Yeah, like for folks that haven't followed your post media life, tell us what's been going on for you after you kind of left the Seattle market.
Oh gosh. So yeah, I mean, I was sort of the first casualty or one of the first casualties of sort of the end of the regional sports network model. Um, I was at NBC Sports Northwest, for those who don't know. The Blazers were our only TV deal. Our contract was up with them the same time my contract was up with NBC Sports Northwest. They left NBC Sports Northwest for Root Sports. So as I was renegotiating my contract, my 2-year deal with them, NBC just shut the whole network down. And now obviously Root Sports is shutting down. I mean, it's just crazy kind of how things have gone the last 5 years in the RSN space. I didn't really have any job offers. It was KJR. It was my only full time offer in Seattle. The money that WinBet offered me down in Vegas was like double. So I mean, to be honest, that was really all it came down to. And so I got here. I worked for WinBet, who wanted to get into the DraftKings, FanDuel, mobile betting space. I was doing content and marketing for them. Kind of like right when I showed up, the writing was like already on the wall. It's like, man, this launch isn't good. The marketing strategy isn't good. The rollout isn't good. They're burning all this money on Shaq and these endorsers who like this just doesn't move the needle the way companies think it will. So anyhow, yeah, about a year and a half into that contract, I got laid off, and the whole company shut down shortly thereafter. And was kind of looking for what the next move was. Didn't really want to leave Vegas. Met a girl, have friends. I like it here. Sick of sort of the transient lifestyle that I was living in sports. I never really was able to put roots down. So did a full life pivot, and now I'm a realtor in Vegas and have been for 2+ years. It's sort of nutty.
Well, I love life stories like that because I mean you've been chasing the sports stuff for a while. You were obviously really good at it. A lot of people appreciated the work you did up here and down in the Bay Area. And you end up in Vegas with an intent to continue to try to figure that out, and instead you end up with a life partner for the rest of your life
Yeah,
and a
for
career
sure.
that you're crushing. So you know what, like you got to kind of surf the waves that life puts in front of you, right?
No doubt, man. I mean, it's really goofy how things work. I certainly, yeah, I had a dream, and I thought I was good at what I did, and I, sort of felt like I was climbing and accomplishing things, and um, it's just you just need that door to open, and if it doesn't, I didn't want to keep moving to, you know, go to Pittsburgh to work for a paper and be a beat writer. It felt too lateral, and like starting fresh every couple years, just like it's tough. It's fun in your 20s. It's much less fun in your 30s. And so, yeah, I just kind of made a decision of like, I can't keep doing this. I don't think it's worth it. And like the dream job never really came. And that's okay. Feel bitter or resentment towards the industry. It just kind of like is what it is. And I made other things a priority, and I couldn't be happier with how things have shaken out.
Well, I love the Northwest flair you got behind you, man.
Oh yeah,
You at least
yeah, yeah,
representing a
yeah.
bit.
Found this on Etsy. I
Nice.
felt pretty proud of them. We have
Was this
Seattle, Mount Rainier, and the Olympics. Here we
witch
go.
related or just witch adjacent on Etsy?
What's so funny is I'd never told my wife Emily about the Etsy witch and the Mariners. Um, but the week of our wedding, it was like kind of forecasted for like a little bit of rain and wind, and she paid an Etsy witch to like bless our wedding to like have
No.
good
No.
weather. And I got home one day. She's like, "You'll never guess what I did." What'd you do? She's like, "I paid an Etsy witch to get good weather for our wedding." And I said, "Wait a minute. How do you know about Etsy witches? I never even told you this, but the Mariners were playing really good because someone paid an Etsy witch." And like, so anyways, totally two separate things, but it's pretty funny that she, independent of the knowledge of the Mariners, did it on her own.
Who knew that being a witch would be so profitable in,
Oh, what a
2025?
business model. Yeah. What a business
Wow.
model.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Well, we were talking about a lot of sports stuff, and before we get into the different
Yeah.
teams, I gotta ask, like, you were in the media, so you weren't allowed to be a fan, at least of the NFL teams.
Hmm.
Do you claim an NFL team that you follow now that you're a fan of?
I really don't. And it's not out of like, oh, I just have to stay out of it because I have friends with the Niners and I worked there for 4 years and I was a Seahawks fan growing up. It just hasn't. I'm like kind of waiting for it. Like when
Yeah, it just hasn't
when
happened.
when am I gonna watch a game and like be happy or upset at the end of it based on the outcome? That like it just kind of like I want it to happen naturally versus like, all right, I'm gonna plant my flag.
Yeah,
Here I am. I'm a
yeah.
Seahawks fan again. Like I just feel like I want it to. And here's what I would say is I'm certainly more of a Seahawks fan than I'm a Niners fan.
Oh, okay, that's news to me, man.
Yeah, oh for sure. I mean, like, listen, I still have very good friends. Like two of my groomsmen still work for the Niners. Like I have very good friends there. I have nothing but good things to say about John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, and Jed York was really good to me when I was there. But like I'm from Seattle. I'm proud to be from Seattle. So like I'm always going to lean that way, and all my friends and family are Seahawks fans. What I would say is I was never going to be a fan while Pete Carroll was still the head coach.
Mm,
And I that sounds aggressive. I don't mean it as aggressive as it sounds, but it's more of like that's the team I covered. That's the
I
team that I
gotcha.
was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
every day, and so I was always going to feel too close to like all of a sudden be rah rah about. So now that I feel so disconnected from this team, there's no players really there that I covered. I guess Jaron Reed's back. Like, but it's a totally different team, totally different coaching staff, totally different building. So like I love Mike McDonald. I hope he is wildly successful. I think I'm excited to talk about this because sort of from afar, I'm much more tapped into like Mariners Twitter and fandom than I am Seahawks
Yeah,
Twitter and fandom. But I do
yeah.
see some stuff, and you're like, wait, why are people upset? It feels like this is going very well. So I do. I think it was a phenomenal hire. I think it's an easy guy to root for. Everything I see, I really like, and so like yeah, I'm in on the Seahawks Mike McDonald era.
So you have not been. I mean, the Raiders haven't given you a lot to cheer for, but you're not pulled at all towards your now
No,
current
no,
city.
no. I think it'd be different if like it was an expansion team that started in Vegas and like had this, but it's like it's the Raiders, Like I don't know. I would say like hockey is much more conflicting
Got it.
because I've never been to the only Kraken games I've been. I was actually at the first ever Kraken game because it was in Vegas. But I've never been to this arena yet. I was at the game when the Knights won the cup, so not like I watch every game and I'm like dialed into the Knights, but I'd be lying to you if I like tried to tell you that I was like super all in on the Kraken. Um, no, I mean if they make a playoff run, I'm gonna be like that dude who throws the shirt on and the hat on and be like, here we go, die hard from day one, let's do it. Definitely more bandwagon there, but um, Yeah, I mean, nothing about the Raiders is appealing at all.
Well, I have one follow-up, and we'll get to all the Seattle stuff. Before I do, if you're just joining and wondering why the show looks like shit, it's because StreamYard is not working today. So I just found some random service that would connect directly to YouTube, and Joe and I can still talk. So apologies for the appearance. It is what it is, but hopefully you can hear us and see us, and at least that all that really matters. But Mr. Joe, have you had any run-ins with Jamal in Las Vegas?
I have not. Honestly, like, I'll watch some Raiders games, like you'll see him like, oh yeah, I forgot he was here. Um, it's funny, like I really am not just sports in general. I mean, outside of the Mariners, I'm like just not as glued into as like I used to be. Like either I'm like playing golf on a Sunday or I'm working or whatever. And certainly not like making the Raiders appointment viewing by any means.
Yeah, that
But
would
yeah,
not
you'll
be
see
wise.
him like, oh yeah, I miss all those armbands and necklaces and flair. You know, there he is.
He's actually not playing too poorly. He's like one
He's
of the only things
not.
going well for the Raiders this year.
He's not.
What is the handicap? Where's it sitting right now?
I'm like 8.5.
All
I'm
right.
forever gonna be the mid handicap, and that's okay. I've
That,
gotten into a place where like it's fine. It's fine. And I can play it and it's fun. Um, and it's anywhere from 78 to 86, and that's fine. I can live with
that's
that.
there's nothing wrong with that. You
No,
like very
no,
few
there's
golfers
no
get to
complaints.
that life.
There's no complaints. Especially I just don't get to play as much as certainly I'd like to, but I mean that's what everyone says. But yeah, no, it's you got to come down, man. You got to come play TPC Summerlin. It's an awesome spot.
I would love to.
And would
I would
love
love
to
to.
host you. Yeah,
Yeah, well, as soon as the Seahawks play the Raiders down there, or it's off season, maybe we'll get down there. I know
yeah.
my wife loves the slots. She loves donating all of our money to the slot machines down there. So
They're
I'm sure I can
addicting
twist
for
her arm to
sure.
come down. Yeah.
They're impossibly dumb, but so addicting at the same
Ish.
time. So I
Yeah.
get it.
Yep, yep, yep. So all right, let's talk some football
Yeah,
first. Part of the reason I wanted to find out about your fandom is I think it's great to have an independent perspective, like an uninvested perspective.
yeah.
And so from the outside looking in, so to speak, what's your take on what's going on with the Seahawks this year?
So I have a question for you that I was looking forward to asking. I will ask you now, but then go into my
Yeah,
answer. But
yeah. Yeah.
like again, going back to like how it tied in, like how online I am with the Seahawks. Like, I'm very curious for your answer to this. If like, what were the expectations going into the year? And I say that because, like, from my point of view, I think of the Seahawks as like they were solid last year, pain in the butt to play. Not going to be an easy win for anybody. Going to lose games that you shouldn't. Going to have some really good wins. Going to be growing pains with the new head coach. Talent on the roster is probably kind of middle of the pack, like good, not great, but competitive. So like expectations accordingly. Then now going into this year, I think there were probably more questions because you didn't know what Sam Darnold was going to be, and so you couldn't have had the bar too high. You've got this quarterback that had awesome moment. I mean, wasn't really for the regular season until week 16, 17 was incredible in Minnesota. And then you see week 17 in the first round of the playoffs and they get drubbed, just, absolute ass kickings where you're like, okay, there it is, right? It's a pressure dependent quarterback, probably has similar upside to Gino. And my take was like, maybe not as again, I would say more pressure dependent than Gino, with similar upside, maybe pull back on the turnover some. So like I don't know, like there was something to be intrigued about, but not maybe necessarily overly optimistic. And I just like don't know how you could be a Seahawks fan and look at these first 7 games and be like, it's bad or it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Like Sam
Yeah.
Darnold is one of the best quarterbacks in football by almost every metric. You've
Mhm.
got one of the best receivers in football, arguably the best if we're just going on based on statistics from the season. He's
Yeah.
having the best season of anybody. You've got a fun tight end. You've got an offensive line that's been sort of good enough. You've got a running game that still hasn't really clicked, but like has its moments, and a defense that like yeah, the Bucks game was really frustrating, but like largely has been positive, especially on the road. So, and you haven't had Devin Witherspoon for more than 2 games. So, like, what are we complaining about? Like, oh, Mike McDonald hasn't like managed everything to perfection of like, and that's always just going to be a complaint for every coach in any sport ever for the rest of the time,
Yeah.
to varying degrees. But like, how can you be anything other than optimistic? Like, that's sort of where I'm at with this team. Like, it just feels like it's ascending in a very average league where there's a ton of parity this year. That,
Yeah.
like, look at the Bills. Like, how pedestrian have the Bills looked for most of the season? Um, the Ravens, all of these teams, the Packers have had bad losses. Like, the Eagles have had a couple bad losses, and their star receiver hates the team. They just won a Super Bowl last year, and somehow vibes are bad. So, like,
Yeah.
I don't know how you can't feel really good about this Seahawks team, which again, now I want to kick it back to you of like, what were the expectations this year? Am I like way off here on like where I felt like the bar was versus where Seahawks fans felt like the bar was, or
I,
you felt like the bar was?
I don't know if I've ever seen, I have to really think about it, but I don't know if I've ever seen a Seahawks team that had as wide of a variety of variants of expectations as this one. So nationally, for example, like the over under was 7.5 wins. Like
Yeah.
this is a team that won 10 games last year and the over under was 7.5. And I was like, I thought that was crazy from the outset. So to me, that never made sense. This team won 10 games last year, had a top 5 defense for the second half of the season. There was good reasons. It wasn't just like opponents. They also made personnel changes. The scheme started to click. A lot of things made sense. And the offense last year was completely oppositional to the identity that Mike McDonald was trying to set forth. So it was working against them in a lot of ways. And the offensive line that was such a problem was being put on like display by this bad offense that was dropping back 40 times a game in shotgun and he like had no running game to speak of. So I, I went back and I looked like one of the things that made me most confident this team was going to be a 10 plus win team was I looked back at top 5 defenses, top 10 defenses over the last, 5-10 years. And top 5, if all you have is a top 10 defense, you average like 10 to 11 wins. If you have a top 5 defense and that's all you have, you're going to be 11 to 12 wins minimum. So I was really confident of all the sides of the ball in the NFC West. The one that I felt like was most certain to be really good was the Seahawks defense. Like that was
Mm-hmm.
the one I would bet on. Now, Rams offense could be really good, but Matt Stafford, I wasn't really willing to bet that he was going to be healthy and good. He has been. We'll talk about that. But
Oh my God,
so
he's so sick.
I picked the Seahawks to win 12 games. So my expectations were relatively
Okay.
positive. They have mostly met those expectations, but a lot of folks, I'm telling you, Joe, there's a lot of folks that are very loyal to Pete, very loyal to Gino. They feel DK, they feel betrayed by what the team did over with Pete and with Gino and have been very reluctant to kind of get behind this. And there's some folks that are kind of they're waiting for Sam to fall. They are waiting for Clint Kubiak to be exposed. They are waiting for I would even say like just the Seahawks to fall back to not being that much better than they were last year so that they can kind of say John Schneider was wrong. Like I think a lot of those things are there's a group of people. And then there's just other people that's not as uh, mean about it, I guess, but they're not engaged. They have not yet fallen in love with this team. And so this last part of the season is going to really set the stage for the next
Yeah.
few years.
Interesting. Okay.
Um, I want to get back to the Seahawks in a second, but I want to go around the NFC West because really the Seahawks didn't play this week, and neither did most of the rest of the NFC West, but the 49ers did. And the vibes with that team is wild. I think this is maybe the best coaching job from Kyle Shanahan I've seen him do, and Robert Saleh, I think, has maybe had the best coaching job of any individual coach in the NFL this year.
Yep.
And yet they lost yesterday. They got injured more yesterday. Impossibly, they got more injuries yesterday. And they made a Texans offense that the Seahawks made look like a high school team, put up almost 500 yards, converted like all sorts of third downs, put up, a decent amount of points. And I'm just wondering, like, the 49ers have an agreeable schedule the rest of the way, but can you really see them, being dangerous this year?
I mean, they're going to have their moments, but it's impossible for that amount of injuries, especially to who is injured, not catch up to you at some point. Like it's just it's going to take its toll at some point, right? You can. I mean,
Right.
I'm an infinite believer. I mean, I think Robert Saleh is probably my favorite coach in the NFL. I mean, I
Mm.
love that man. Just as someone I got to know very well while I was there, it was always so good to me. I mean, obviously he's shown he's a very good coach, but like just an incredible dude that I will root for comprehensively. Like he probably is a head coach next year. If not, then in 2027. Like he hasn't had his last time in that chair.
No, no way.
People love him too much, and like how easy is it to forgive a poor stint with the Jets? Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, everyone sucks with the Jets. So
Yeah.
like, no,
Yeah. I mean, you
come
hear
on
that
over,
owner
man. We're
talk.
gonna be
My
good.
God.
Yeah. So, um, but yeah, but it's gonna take its toll, dude. You lose your five of your eight best players or something. I mean, it will add up. And that's not to say that the Seahawks would go in there, no matter who's on the field, and just like mop the floor with them because they're so decimated. Um, but it does feel like if you can get hot, this is certainly the right time. I mean, very similar to like the Astros had a down year, and the Mariners got to take advantage and win the division. Like this is the year for it, and like the Rams are very good, but there's no reason why the Seahawks can't win the NFC West.
Yeah. And I mean, the 49ers yesterday, I thought it was on the verge of getting ugly. And then, I mean, it was 16-0. And then they get a big kickoff return. And then they managed to get a George Kittle crazy touchdown catch on like 3rd down and 10. And then they get an interception and almost like get a feel like, and then they end up making it a 1-score game a couple of times. And as much as, me, I consider the 49ers villains in my story. So I'm not a fan. And
As you
I,
should. That's the
I,
fun of sports.
absolutely. I can't help but respect what's going on down there. I just can't. I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever respected as much of what's going on down there in terms of maximizing what they've got with who they're playing with. And I went back and I kind of looking at the rest of the season. I still think, even with all the things going wrong, I think they're probably going to win like 11 games, like
Mm-hmm.
10 or 11 games. Like the schedule really, really helps them.
Mm-hmm.
But like they're not out of it. Like miraculously, they're not out of it. And I'm not sure that's a team that anyone would be super excited to play in the playoffs either way.
No. Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I'm with you. Got nothing to add. That was all super well said.
So, other places in the NFC West. So you look at the Rams, which are now the only team tied with the Seahawks for top in the division.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of that team, and how do you kind of separate that team from the Seahawks team that share the same record?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a huge fan of Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford might be my favorite player I've ever watched in football. Like when
Really?
he's slinging it, it is so fun to watch him. He was fun in Detroit. He's been fun in Los Angeles. I'm happy he's healthy. Like I just think the league is better with him in it and playing well. Um, what's the deal with Puka? How long is he going to be out? What's he going to be like when he's back? All of that. I mean, he's one of the best receivers in football, and was producing. He was probably the only player in football producing at a level of JSN until his injury.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Defense feels like it's got tons of upside, if albeit inconsistent. But yeah, I like the Rams. I think if they stay healthy, which is a huge if when you have a 40-year-old quarterback. Um, I think there's no reason why it's them and the Seahawks sort of the rest of the way. Who can stay healthier, really, in that conversation?
Yeah, I'm really curious. We're a couple weeks away from that, right? So the Seahawks are going to play maybe Jaden Daniels, maybe not, and the Washington Commanders on Sunday Night Football coming up this
Mm-hmm.
week, and then they host the Arizona Cardinals, and then they go down to LA to face
The
the Rams.
Cardinals are such a mess, man. My goodness.
Tell me more, because I have thoughts, but I want to hear what are you thinking?
It just feels like every year you're sort of like, is this the year the offense is going to start clicking? And it just doesn't. And it really, I mean, they are the 10-play, 80-yard touchdown drive followed by 6 straight 3-and-outs
Mm-hmm.
with holding penalties, sacks. Well, it's hard to watch. Like a Kyler Murray led offense, and then at this point, you've got to start pointing at the quarterback, where it's not like the coach quarterback combination hasn't been right, and he just needs to be in the right system or whatever. Like there are flaws to his game in a degree that like makes it pretty clear that a sustainable, consistent offense doesn't really feel possible because we haven't seen it. Maybe a game at a time, but very rarely is it a full game. I mean, it's hard. They're a hard watch.
Yeah.
It's undisciplined.
Yeah.
And so it's like how can Trey McBride save them? That guy's an animal. But he's not a fun watch, man. Nothing's on time, nothing's in rhythm, nothing's on schedule. It feels like pure chaos the second the ball is snapped every play. And so, man, they'd be a fun or an infuriating team to be a fan for because of how hard a watch it is.
Yeah. I agree with all that. I've been I've been off of Kyler Murray for a long time and for a lot of reasons, but watching Jacoby Brissett get in there and actually look better than Kyler Murray,
Yeah.
I think is going to make some interesting conversations the last part of the season for that team. I also think that team, everyone's got the same opinion you do, which and I do generally on this, that they're just been embarrassing for what they could do. There at some point they're going to get Walter Nolan, their first round pick, off of PUP, and I think the defense has actually been pretty decent. They've got
It
Will
has.
Johnson back. I think that there's some upside for that defense being tough, and then I just wonder if they're going to be a spoiler, like if they're going to be the team that beats the Seahawks or beats the Rams one time, and that's the game that really frustrates people. So I got my eye on them for that reason. But the Kyler Murray thing, Mina Kimes had a take. We obviously love Mina, and she was like, I think Kyler Murray is going to be the next reclamation project at quarterback. I want to know your thoughts because I'm like, I don't know if you can be a reclamation project as a number one overall pick who's already been like a Pro Bowler and was in the MVP conversations. I think he's just been exposed. I don't think there's something to reclaim.
I mean, he's had enough coaches to where you feel like none of them
Right.
have been able to tap into it. Like, so who is it going to be? Like, he's going to go to San Francisco and like Kyle Shanahan's going to figure it out. Which I mean, I guess I would trust Kyle Shanahan with anything. I've got infinite confidence in that dude working with whoever quarterback. So I guess, but yeah, I think we've seen enough at this point. I mean, this is not like we haven't had enough time to really know. Like, this is who he's been for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So to think that there's some other gear, I think there's also like, and this isn't super fair, like not being in the locker room, but I never really watched a game and felt like everyone's all in on Kyler.
Right.
And you've seen some of the reports and the video games or whatever. And like, I'm not trying to take a cheap shot on the guy, like genuinely, but just the eye test of what you see. Rarely does it feel like this team is like rallying behind Kyler, all in on what he's doing, and that is so much of a vibe of a team. It's like how much does the team believe in the quarterback? Like I think it's hard to have a cohesive building if that piece of it isn't there. And it doesn't feel like it's really ever been there with him.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he's a leader and I don't think he's a finisher. And I don't know that changes no matter where he is. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's an interesting one. And look, people have asked me a couple of times, do you think the Seahawks are true Super Bowl contenders? And I think we're at the time where that's a fair question to start asking.
Mm-hmm.
Until they beat the Rams, I'm just not there yet. Like I'm not saying I'm not against it. In fact, I was looking, I'm a numbers guy. So I was looking at DVOA and they have an estimated wins based off of all your numbers and how you're performing as a team. The Seahawks have an estimated 6.6 wins in 7 games. They're basically the numbers say they should be undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the number one DVOA team by a pretty big stretch. Doesn't mean that they are the best team, but there's no question they should be in that conversation right now.
Yeah.
But you got to prove it. And I got to say, the Sam Darnold play, I woke up this morning, Joe, thinking about Sam Darnold's plays against the Texans. And it's going to take a while for me to kind of shake it. Like that decision to bail the pocket, to not throw the ball away, to fumble it in the end zone, give up a touchdown, didn't really matter in that game. The fact that that's still in there is like, that could be all that matters when you come to the playoffs. Like they could do everything else right.
Sure.
And if he has one of those moments in the playoffs, that could be it.
You can't forget about the guy who said on the sideline that he's seeing ghosts. Like that's,
Yeah.
and again, I'm not trying to be unfair to him either, but like then you see some of these plays, and you're like, there's some panic still in there. There is still a little, not that he hasn't developed tremendously and has obviously insane upside. I mean, he's made that very clear. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I think within the scope of that conversation, it's more of look around the NFC, and if not the Seahawks, then who? And
Yep.
you can go through all of those teams and say like they've had their moments of like why can we say they're Super Bowl contenders and the Seahawks aren't? I think it's so easy to be so hyper focused on one team and be like Sam Darnold has bad moments, like they make games closer than they should. All these frustrations you have with your team, and just sort of like view everything else as like they're perfect. Every other team is really good and perfect and has no issues. Like it's almost like when you're an amateur golfer and you're playing golf and you're so frustrated that I'm not in every fairway and whatever, and you're playing a match against another amateur golfer and like you lose, so it feels like you're like, oh, I'm playing against someone on tour. No, they're also an amateur golfer and have all of these flaws. Like I just need to keep going, just keep pushing, and things are okay. And so I think that that's very similar when you're having this conversation of if your knee-jerk reaction is no, the Seahawks are not Super Bowl contenders, I don't think you are taking a wide enough look around the league as to what's been happening.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the box scores from yesterday. I did not watch the Bucks Saints game because I have some sort of life, not a huge life, but some sort of life. And Baker Mayfield struggled in that game. Like Baker Mayfield, who I think is the MVP so far this year, he's had 2 straight not so great games. And my God, I did watch some of the Packers versus Steelers last night. And of course, DK Metcalf found a way to get a costly personal foul penalty at a really bad time. But I think that Steelers team is shit, dude. Like I think they're
good.
total fraud.
They're not good.
And yet they were beating the Packers for a while, and it took the Packers storming back to beat them at the end. And I don't know if the Packers defense with Micah Parsons, I was like, oh, they're going to be really terrifying. I didn't think they were terrifying watching them against the Steelers yesterday.
No, I honestly, when they made that trade, I actually was like, Packers are going to be in the Super Bowl. I felt like I was sort of like, I'm not the first to say it, but I was just like, I bought a futures ticket on them. You're in Vegas. Like, I was like, this team is very good in a very open conference, in my opinion. And after the first 2 weeks, I'm like feeling like the smartest dude I know, and then, you have the Cowboys game where they give up
the Browns game.
Like, what are we doing? So again, back to the conversation of, are the Seahawks a Super Bowl contender? Yes, because if not them, then who? So yeah, I think there's no reason why. They've got the pieces. I believe it.
Couple more minutes with you, Joe. We'll talk about the Mariners. We'll switch gears. Then I'm gonna, after we let you go, I'm gonna talk a little bit more for folks about what's going on in the division and what's coming up. But open-ended. How you feeling, man?
Not good, man. I'm so bummed. Like you're just so sick of hearing that they're the only team in baseball to never do it, to never get there. Like, and then just the reality of they would have had a chance to potentially win it. Like obviously it's the Dodgers, whatever, but I think it's really frustrating that they punted game 6, just totally vomited all over themselves in all facets. Like that's tough to swallow. Was much less frustrating when they were up 2-0 and had, game 3 was just a shit show in Seattle. Sorry, family show.
That's okay.
Um, but like that one where it's like you're going to Toronto with a chance to go to the World Series and you got two chances and they basically just gave one away. That sucked. Um, and then I think it's hard for me to get over the Bizardo Springer situation. I truly, it's easy to say in hindsight, but I really believe if you were like Joe, the outcome doesn't change. Like it is what it is. But Wu gave up the homer to Springer, or Munoz gave up the homer to Springer.
Mhm.
I think I could stomach that. I know I could stomach that better. I know that would feel better because their best beat our best. And that sucks. And I'm still really bummed and pissed off and sad and going through all the stages of grief that we go through as sports fans, especially as a Mariners fan who, like, we've never been that close. It's
Mhm.
a unique disappointment. Um, I still would feel better.
Yeah.
He's your fourth best reliever. He pitched 2 innings the night before. He's had an awesome season, and this isn't even a shot at Bizardo. Like the Mariners wouldn't have been at that point without him because of the season he had, and a massive respect to him. But how he's the move there, I will never be able to understand or accept.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I, I I take offense personally when people say this is worse than when the Seahawks lost the Super Bowl. Uh, for a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean,
reasons, I won't go into that, but
it's not. No,
I
you can't
I
compare.
also agree that everyone's got their own individual investment in all these situations and whatever.
Sure,
But like the Seahawks loss
worse
is
for them
probably the
because they care more about the Mariners. Is really what
right.
that comes down to.
I think the Seahawks loss is probably the worst loss in the history of the sport,
Yeah,
arguably. So it's hard to
yeah,
top that, but it is similar in the sense of I think a lot of people could have lived with if you ran Marshawn Lynch 4 times from the 1 yard line and got stuffed every time. You'd been like,
sure.
okay,
I think it's
fine,
exactly. Yep,
right?
yep,
That's the hard part in this case. And I think it's also, do you trust Dan Wilson to make a better decision next time? I don't know if I do. Like I know for a fact. Well, I can't say that, but I'm going to say it that Scott Service would have put Andres Munoz in that situation. Now, it doesn't mean
yeah,
that Scott Service would have gotten them all the way to where they were to have that moment, but
yeah,
I've no questions. He brought Munoz in early all the time, right?
yeah,
So, I think that's rough to have that. At the same time, and I'm a little harsh, Joe, but
hmm,
like the Mariners were non-competitive in three of the games. Like they were
yeah,
non-competitive. And they lost 2 games at home to the 2 worst starters on the Blue Jays, one of
yeah,
them over 40. Like, you didn't really, like, quote, "deserve." Like, I feel like you got beat, and at least it was a competitive game 7
yeah.
where I felt like they didn't embarrass themselves and they should have won. I can kinda live with that a little bit more than I could have if they had another non-competitive game. I think I would have had a lot harder time dealing with this.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I mean, the Mariners were a severely flawed team, right? I mean, you rely solely on the long ball. I mean, even the eighth inning of Game Five was a solo home run, 2 walks, a hit by pitch, and a grand slam. They had scored 5 runs and got 2 hits. Where it's such a stark contrast to what the Jays throw out there of like they don't give at bats away, they don't
Right.
strike out, they put the ball in play. They obviously still have home run potential, but like they are able to string together 4 or 5 hits in an inning where it just doesn't really happen with the Mariners. And certainly the double plays were a killer. The bottom of the order production was a killer, right? You look at Addison Barger, Ernie Clement, and Jimenez versus the 7 through 9, JP plus whoever was there. I mean, it was Leo Rivas for the last couple games. And it's, a combination of Dom Canzone and Victor Robles. I mean, it was just 0, 0, 0 versus setting the table for the top of the order. The Blue Jays did damn near every time, or
Yep.
just driving in runs. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. I don't think they were the better team, and I don't know if that makes it feel better or worse. It just is what it is. But it's certainly frustrating, regardless, just to be that close.
Yeah, last thing I'll say on that is looking at next year. Like I am optimistic. I actually do. I don't think this is going to be one of those situations where it's like, oh, that was the one time we thought they were going to be good for a long time and then they never are good. I think they're going to be good again. I think they're going to continue to be good. I also for the life of me, I don't understand why everyone's saying Colt Emerson should be third base, like platooning with Ben Williamson. Please, for the love of God, make JP Crawford go somewhere else. Like, I'm done with him at shortstop.
Yeah.
He is not a good defensive player anymore. Why are we
No.
putting a
Right.
bad defensive player in place of what could be a very good defensive player at a very important defensive position? Like,
Yeah.
I appreciate what
I
he's
agree
done
with
for the
you.
team, but like,
Yeah.
I am done with watching him in the field, man.
Yeah, it's brutal. Certainly done with him. I think this is my last thought on this, and I think why the disappointment feels so significant to like what's the future going to look like is like we aren't fans of the Yankees, we aren't fans of the Mets, we aren't fans of the Dodgers, where like that ownership will do everything they can to get to where they want to be from an investment standpoint, and whether they make the right decisions or not, we'll find out. That's TBD. It always is in the off season. But like, what are they going to do? What is the level of like payroll boost going to be? We're already talking about payroll again. It's like I don't want to talk about payroll again. Like, just get it done.
Yeah.
You've got a job. The window is open. Figure out how to make it happen. Um, and like I think everyone's going to protest the season if Josh Naylor is not back. I actually do think he will be. Like my
Yeah.
gut says he will be.
Yeah.
But okay, so you spend the Mitch Garver money and then some probably on Josh Naylor. So there's an investment, but like it's kind of goes back to when people were getting on my case talking about spending. It's like, well, they extended Julio and they extended Luis Castillo. Those are big moves, big money, all that. It's like, yeah, but they were already on the team, So yes, they are now going to be on the team for longer than they would have been otherwise, but they were already there on the paper that we're holding. So like,
Mhm.
what else are you bringing in to get over the hump, or is it going to be like we're just running it back with this crew? We hope we have some help from prospects. We hope Cole Young develops. We hope Ben Williamson develops. But it's going to be this team. It's going to be dominant Victor and right. It's going to be Randy in left. It's going to be JP at short. It's going to be, so that I think is like I'm always going to be skeptic until proven otherwise, and that's why I feel like God, I don't feel like it's a guarantee that they're just or a foregone conclusion that they're just going to be good the next 3 to 5 years because they were good this year. I don't know, man. It's still the same old team, still the same old ownership, and it's hard for me not to be pessimistic about that.
I get it. I get it. I feel a little bit more optimistic, but I hear you. Joe, I'm gonna let you go. I know you got a real job you got to get to. Man, sorry we don't have nicer accommodations. If you were selling this real estate, it would not really sell for a very good profit. But man, it's great to see you. Hopefully it's not the last time.
Oh man, it was a ton of fun. I really appreciate you having me on. It's great to just talk shop with you and get away from the real job for a minute. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity. It's a ton of fun.
Awesome. All right, Joe. We will talk again. Have a great rest of your day.
See you guys.
All right, that's Joe Fann. And folks, if you're just joining and wondering again why this looks as bad as it does, it's because my normal streaming app is not working. I just plopped down a credit card on some random app to at least get the Joe conversation done. And it looks like I'm seeing now there's some flaws in the framing of this shot, but it doesn't matter. It is what it is. So I'm going to talk to you guys for a little bit more about what's going on with the Seahawks and with what happened yesterday in the NFL. Before I do that, let me get this up here. This is a super chat. And look at that. It worked. OEL says, I understand your worry. Whoops. Was that? Yeah, that is the right one. Sorry. I understand your worry regarding Sam Darnold's mistakes, but the key is Kubiak making the right play call to put him in a position where they don't happen. I don't see it that way. I don't. I think it's a mutual responsibility. And the fact of the matter is, you should be able to trust your quarterback, a veteran quarterback who has played many games, to know that if his first read isn't open and his feet are at his own, at the shadow of his own end zone, he's just got to throw the ball away. Like, period. That's like, no matter what your coordinator does, you should be able to make that decision. And then if you don't make that decision, you should know not to bail backwards into the end zone, period. And if you are going to do that, you should know to secure the football. So I think there were 3 inexcusable decisions by Sam Darnold there that were all his and nobody else's responsibility. Now, the second time where he almost got a safety late in the game by doing something pretty similar, I put more blame on Kubiak because he just saw earlier in the game what Sam did in that situation. They should have never been in that situation because I think Clint Kubiak called a really inexcusable fourth quarter where he kept passing the football. The game would have been over if he had just run the ball multiple times. So I do agree that Clint Kubiak deserves more criticism for that. But yeah, I think you're being much too generous to Sam Darnold there. He owns that. He's got to do better. And if he doesn't, the Seahawks will be really negatively impacted by it the way they were on that Monday night. All right. Another one from OEL says, how about the Texans D? They got right back to being dominant, giving up just 15 points after getting 27 points. Should have been more dropped on them against Seahawks. 40 whiners lose. Yeah. Well, I want to talk about that game a little bit more. The Texans put up 475 yards. They were 9 of 16 on third down. They were 1 of 1 on fourth down. They rushed for 157 yards. That's a big one in all of this. And they ended up being 1 for 5 in the red zone, or else they would have had a lot more than 26 points. So, I don't think you could have much more of a, uh, you know, striking difference from one game to the other. I listened to a lot of the Texans kind of post loss to the Seahawks commentary. They were like, does CJ Stroud suck? Do we need to bench him? Is he ever going to be good again? Is he broken? The guy throws for 318 yards and 2 touchdowns and 106 passer rating, wasn't sacked a single time. Yeah, I think that they were freaking out. They got out coached, out schemed. That's what they kept talking about. Nick Caserio, their offensive coordinator, man, he's terrible. What are we doing? D'Amico Ryans is a terrible coach. Like all that stuff. And then I listened to Grant Cohen's post game show for the 49ers yesterday, and he's talking about how D'Amico Ryans completely out coached Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh. And so you can't do the transference thing here, but I'm just saying this was a very good 2-game stretch in terms of optics for the Seahawks, especially the Seahawks defense. That 49ers defense, after the Seahawks, harassed CJ Stroud all the time, they got 2 quarterback hits against that offensive line and against the quarterback that had the happiest feet and was bailing the pocket against the Seahawks. The commentators, I felt like Daryl Johnson did an okay job, but I felt like it was a little bit he was a little bit too confused about why CJ Stroud was so bad the week before. I don't think you need to be confused, man. I think the Seahawks defense was the reason, and it's okay to just say, man, that Seahawks defense is something else. And that front four, that defensive line absolutely manhandled their offensive line at every position. I think it's that simple. So, yeah, this Seahawks defense is, I think, on track to be extremely good, knowing that Devin Witherspoon, Julian Love, and Derek Hall should all be practicing this week and hopefully be back. I will be at practice. They're having a Monday practice later today. So I will be there. I will see who's on the field and let you guys know. And we'll be talking to Mike McDonald as well in a press conference. So we'll get a little bit more information there. But yeah, I think this was it wasn't as fun as I was hoping it was going to be. I was really hoping for just a 49ers like absolute pasting by the Texans. That would have been even better. But I'll take the loss because if you look at the rest of the 49ers schedule, I'll talk you guys through it here in a second. I think there's a really good chance that they are going to still be in this race pretty much all the way to the end. All right, I'm just double checking. I think that's all the super chats, but if I missed one, sorry. Again, I'm trying to operate through this janky streaming service, but hopefully at least it seems like it's working. So we'll take that. So yes, 49ers remaining schedule. Let's talk about that. I'm going to go through some of the games yesterday and implications just in the NFC in general. But 49ers remaining schedule. So they go at the Giants. Now the Giants lost Cam Scatterbo for the season. That's huge. I actually thought the Giants would have a chance to beat the 49ers in New York. I don't know if I do anymore. Like, I don't know that the Giants can score enough points even against that banged up 49ers defense. So that's probably a win for San Francisco. Then they go and play the Rams. The Rams should win that. They go at the Cardinals. Now that one I don't know. I don't know. I think the Cardinals could definitely beat them. And then the Panthers. They're home against the Panthers. Panthers are a little bit of a frisky team, although the Bills absolutely demolished them yesterday. At the Browns. Browns are not good. That should be a win for sure. Now, Myles Garrett could cause mayhem and maybe something, but he's had 5 sacks yesterday. They still got blown out. So I don't know. The Titans at home should be able to beat the Titans. They're at the Colts. That's a loss almost for sure. And then they're home against the Bears. That one's, I don't know. I've been watching the Bears because I'm trying to figure out if that team can beat the 49ers. That's going to be a Sunday night game, I believe. Maybe it's a Monday night game. Either way, it's a primetime game. No, it's a Sunday night game. Sorry. It's a Sunday night game. So, I mean, I look at that. Giants, that's 1 win. Let's give them the Panthers. That's 2 wins. Let's give them the Browns and Titans. That's 3 and 4 wins. If that's all that they win the rest of the way, that's 9. Okay. If they beat the Cardinals, that's 10. If they beat the Bears, that's 11. So, like, you really like you need one of those types of teams to beat the 49ers to keep them from double-digit wins or to keep them from 11 wins. So, I think they're in a very good position to win probably at least 10 games. And 11 is not at all out of the question. Now, if you look at the Seahawks, this is a dangerous thing to do, right? We're looking ahead because we're in a bye week and you just don't know, right? Like this could be the week where it all comes crashing down. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but it could. They're at the Commanders, and we're going to all watch the Commanders tonight against the Chiefs. Marcus Mariota is going to be the quarterback, so I don't know that you can really learn a lot from that. I would bet they're going to lose and probably lose badly. That's on the road in Kansas City, so they'll be coming back on a short week. Let's assume that they lose that game. They fall to what would be 3 and 5, and they got blown out. You assume Jaden Daniels is going to find a way to play. They will have Terry McLaurin back. They will have Deebo Samuel back. They will be as motivated as they will ever be in prime time at home on Monday night or on Sunday night. That's a tougher game than it should be. I think the Seahawks, there's no doubt in my mind, the Seahawks are a better team than the Commanders. And if you played them 10 times, I think the Seahawks win 7 to 8 of those games. This one, the script wise, could make it tougher. It could make it tougher for the Seahawks in this one. Now, after that, you're home against the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are a tougher, like people want to just make fun of them. But even though the Cardinals have lost a lot, they've lost their games by a total of 13 points. They've been in every single game, including against the Packers last week. So I don't think you can just count on that being an easy win, but you should expect the Seahawks to win that game. Then you go to the Rams. I think that's going to be a real harbinger of how the rest of the season is going to go. If you beat the Rams in LA, and I very much believe the Seahawks are capable of doing that, then everything's open. Everything's open. If you lose that game, I think that's when you really have compounded the loss to the 49ers at home to start the year. because now you are what would be 1-3, 1-2 in the division. Is that right? Let me double check. Lost the 49ers, beat the Cardinals. Yes, you'd be, well, it depends on what happens with the Cardinals. Let's say you beat the Cardinals, you'd be 2-2 in the division. The Rams still have a lot of their division games left to play. In fact, I think the Rams have all of, no, they play the 49ers. So they have 5 of their division games left to play. The Seahawks have fewer than that, but that's a tough one. So, I think that's the game that is going to indicate what happens from there. And then you've got at the Titans, which you hope to win. That's one that you should kind of chalk up. Home against the Vikings. I think that's looking like a game you should win based on the way the Vikings are playing. At the Falcons, we'll talk about them a little bit more in a second, but I think you have every reason to think you'll win that game. Home against the Colts. Now, the Colts have been the best team in football this year. Personally, here's the thing I would say about Sam Darnold. For all the folks that are like, hey, stop doubting Sam Darnold. And I'm really not. I'm very optimistic about Sam Darnold. I loved watching him play. But if I were to tell you, hey, would you sign Daniel Jones to a long-term deal? Would you trust Daniel Jones with your franchise and bet on him based on the fact that he's been one of the best quarterbacks in football? I bet almost all of you would say no. I would say no. Without hesitation, I don't believe in Daniel Jones. I just don't. Now, he has done nothing but be great this season. I think the same kind of logic applies to Sam Darnold for a lot of people, and I understand it from that lens. So I think that Mike McDonald and this defense are going to be the thing that neutralizes that Colts offense. And I think the Seahawks offense will be good enough to win. Now, that is going to be a tough game, but it's at home. We'll see how that goes. Then they play the Rams at home on Thursday Night Football. So there's going to be this 3 games in 11 days stretch where they go to the Falcons, home against the Colts, and then home on Thursday night against the Rams. That's going to be a challenging little stretch for sure. And I like the Seahawks' chances in that game. The Rams will be coming off, interestingly, they will have just hosted the Lions. So you're going to play one of the Super Bowl contenders in the NFC, and then 4 days later, you're going to travel on short rest and play the Seahawks. So the Seahawks will be going from playing the Colts, which is also the best team, at least right now, in the AFC, and then face the Rams. So both teams will have really competitive Sunday games and then have to have a Thursday night game for what could be the division. You never know. And then the Seahawks get the Panthers on the road and the 49ers on the road. I think both of those games should be wins. As much as I respect what the 49ers have done, I think it's no question that the Seahawks are a better team. The only reason 49ers fans love to talk about week 1, as that's one of the only things that they have to talk about. I get it. But I mean, that was a game where they had George Kittle, who scored a touchdown in that game. They had Nick Bosa. They had Fred Warner. They had all these things. And it still took Clint Kubiak calling one play action pass and being 60% in shotgun for them to lose, or for the 49ers to win. And for Rick Woolen to make those mistakes. I personally, I put it more on Clint Kubiak in that game plan than I do on Rick Woolen. At the same time, technically, Rick Woolen made 2 plays that lost in that game. So I just don't – I don't think the 49ers can hang with the Seahawks. I don't. I think they can make it a game. I just don't think that they, in the end, will really be able to beat Seattle that second time. So basically, with those games, I think the Seahawks are going to be favored in 7 of their remaining games. I think 3 of them, there's a little bit of a question, like the Rams games and the Colts, don't know. But let's say you just win the games you're favored to win and you lose all the rest. That would be 12 wins for the Seahawks. I don't know that you can count on winning all the games you're favored to win, but I think just for a thought exercise, I also don't think you're going to lose both games to the Rams and the game to the Colts. So I think this is on its way to being a 12 to 13 win team with an outside shot of being a 14 win team, and an outside shot potentially of being a 10 win team. So that's kind of the range of outcomes for the Seahawks the rest of the way. For the Rams go, they play the Saints this week. That's a win for sure. They go to the 49ers. I expect them to win that game after dropping one, but who knows? Kyle Shanahan has had Sean McVay's number. At the same time, I just would expect the 49ers to win that one. Or the Rams to win that one. The Seahawks, which we talked about, at home. They have the Bucks at home. And that one's interesting. The Bucks have fallen off. They do not look like the best team in the NFC anymore. And the injuries have caught up to them a little bit. Baker Mayfield has fallen off a little bit. I mean, to give you an idea, Baker Mayfield's numbers yesterday, this is what I was talking about. So they handily beat the Saints 23-3, but Baker Mayfield was 15 to 24 for 152 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked 3 times, averaged 6 yards per throw. It was ugly. It was ugly. And they benefited from the Saints throwing a couple interceptions. And if not for that, like, that would have been a closer game. But in any event, the Rams are going to face the Bucks at home, and that's also going to be a Sunday night football game. I like the Rams in that game, but who knows? Let's see what the Bucks' health is by that point. Then the Rams go to the Panthers. They go to the Cardinals. They host the Lions. They go to the Seahawks on Thursday night. They go to the Falcons, and they're home against the Cardinals. So I think that the Rams are pretty clearly going to be favored in 6 of those games, maybe more. And there's question on 4 of them. The 4 that I've got question mark are the Seahawks games, the Bucks game, and the Lions game. And if they win their favored games, that's 6 games. They will have 11 wins. If they win half of their other games, that would be 13. So I think the Rams are in a similar state of, I think their floor is probably a little higher than the Seahawks. I have a hard time seeing them win fewer than 11 games. I think that's a little less likely, even though I've got more games that are toss-ups. I also think their ceiling might be a little bit lower. I'm not sure they're going to get past 12 wins. I think 13 wins is what it's going to take to win this division. So yeah, I that's kind of where I read this going forward. So I think I see that there's been another super chat. Let me double check. All right. And there seems to be some conversation going on in chat that I'm having a hard time keeping up with. So I hope everyone's being kind to each other and to me and our guests. But for now, with another super chat says, I think the Hawks will still win against the Commanders. Cards will be a tough one again, but I think the Hawks win. Rams are the final boss here. Yeah, I think that's all fair. I've got my tail of the tape to do on the Commanders. Fortunately, I can't start it until they play their game tonight, so I got to make sure that they get all their numbers in there and I can start looking at that. But like I said, I think the Seahawks are a better team than the Commanders. It's just a matter of whether or not the Commanders do one of those any given Sunday kind of days. So I see this. Brian's doubt is let's see this. If I'm reading this right from Knix. Brian's doubt is surprising ? Lots of 12s love McDonald. Many took a while. Mike's an incredible mind coach. Genuinely cares. Kubiak's system is nice. Sam and players are executing. Believe. What doubt? I'm literally talking about them winning between like 11 and 14 games. I don't think that's doubt. I think that's reality. And I also think that when we're talking about this team, you gotta realize that they have not won a game against a true contender yet. They just haven't. Like the wins that the Seahawks have had, what's their most convincing win that they've had this year? The Steelers game? Like, I'm not going to hang my hat on that. I'm glad they won it. They won it pretty convincingly. They were much better than the Steelers. I think the Steelers suck. Like, I think the Steelers are totally mediocre. The Jaguars game? Did you see what the Rams did to the Jags? Like, I don't know, man. I was never that impressed with the Jags. The Texans game, like, that was probably their most convincing win, but that was against a team under 500. So the reality is they haven't done it yet. They haven't. I think all the signs are pointing to that they can, but that's why I look at that Rams game as a proving point. Now, in order for that game to even matter as much as it should, they got to win against the Commanders because that's an NFC team. And guess what? The Seahawks have lost they've lost 2 of their 4 games against NFC teams. They cannot drop another game against what is likely going to be a playoff contending NFC team. That will not work for tiebreakers. We saw what happens with tiebreakers last year. I think this division could be as close as it was last season when it went to a 5th tiebreaker to decide the division. Winning your conference games matter. Winning your division games matter. And right now, the Seahawks have not taken care of business in that regard. So they're vulnerable. I don't think they're in bad shape, but they are vulnerable because of those losses to the Bucks, but especially to the 49ers in the first game. Let me talk a little bit about games that went on yesterday. Just looking through the scores, and God, I enjoyed watching the 49ers lose. That was so fun. I would take that every single day. I really would. It was joyous. So someone asked me online, like, why do you hate them so much? And I'm like, I'd have to do a whole stream on that. Like, come on, man. That team is so hateable. That franchise is. So, all right. Dolphins Falcons seems like an innocuous game, but the Dolphins rolled the Falcons. This was the Dolphins' second win. The Falcons lost 34-10 at home. Now, Michael Penix didn't play, but I don't know that you can say Michael Penix has been lighting it up this year. That matters for a couple of reasons. One, it matters because the Falcons are vulnerable in that game against them. I don't think is looking as difficult as I thought it might. And it matters because the Rams own their first round pick next year. So we're in a conflicting situation. We actually are better off probably with the Falcons being bad this year. That'll help Seattle. But we'd be better off with them being good for the future, because if the Rams get a top 10 pick off the Falcons, that is no bueno. So we got the Falcons. You need the Falcons to turn it around a little bit. And if I look at their remaining schedule, I'm not going to go through all of it. I mean, they're playing at the Patriots. They got the Colts, Panthers, Saints, Jets. That's good. Seahawks, Bucks, Cardinals, Rams, Saints. Oi. I think that the Falcons are in for it, man. I think the Rams are going to get a pretty good pick out of that. Unfortunately, that sucks. The Jets game. This has no bearing on anything other than humanity. The owner of the Jets called out his quarterback in a really, I think, slimy way and not a classy way for an owner to do. Justin Fields then goes out, helps lead the Jets to a miraculous comeback. They outscored the Bengals 23-7 in this game. At one point, this game was, let me make sure I've got this right. At one point, this game was 17-3, and then 24-10, and then 31-16. And after all of that, the Jets came back and won. So kudos to Justin Fields. If you haven't seen his post-game press conference, you should check it out. He did talk about his owner's comments as, quote, outside noise, which I respected. I talked about being vulnerable and how this has been really, really hard for him. So I respect what he did there. I was kind of happy for the Jets. I'm actually an Aaron Glenn fan. I know some people think that maybe he's not the guy. I think he's I would be happy if he was my coach, even if they were losing the way they're losing. I think he seems like a guy that's got the right spirit to lead a team. But the Jets win their first game of the season. They're 1-7. So it's been a rough go for them. Also, Bengals, Trey Hendrickson, I think, left that game again with an injury, slammed his helmet on the ground, did not come back. So I know people think maybe he'll get traded. I don't think that's going to happen. Patriots were losing to the Browns at one point, but just basically they were actually only ahead 9-7 at halftime. They ended up beating them 32-13. The Patriots are looking better and better. You'll hear all about it because all the film people are in love with Drake May. All the stat people are in love with Drake May. We will find out if that's warranted come playoff time. Eagles, they find a way to beat the Giants, and this was at home without AJ Brown. They put up 38 points, and Jackson Dart, bless his heart, loses Cam Scatterbo, who had a touchdown in this game. I think the Giants it's going to be tough for them to beat the 49ers. We already talked about that. But the Eagles go to 6-2. Flawed team. They don't scare me. Doesn't mean that they can't beat the Seahawks, but they are not an intimidating squad the way that they've been. But they go to 6-2. The Bills crushed the Panthers. Why does this matter? Well, the Bills have been really struggling to defend the run, and the Panthers have been amazing running the ball with Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. They could not run the ball on the Bills. This was the first loss at home. This was first loss after a winning streak that they were on. Bills win 40-9. So what Carolina looks like, Carolina is going to figure into this NFC West race. They still have games against everyone in the division other than the Cardinals, who've already played them. The Bears lost to the Ravens. Caleb Williams was shit, as he often is, and had a interception near his own end zone. They lose 30-16 to Tyler Huntley at quarterback and the Ravens. The Ravens had only one win before this. Sorry, this was in Baltimore, not in Chicago. I can't remember if I said that, but yeah, the Ravens get a pretty important win for them, and their schedule opens up quite a bit. So I think they'll be better for it. But the Bears are 4-3. I just don't believe in this team, but I am hopeful that maybe they can knock off the 49ers later in the year. We talked about the Bucs Saints and the 49ers Texans, Cowboys Broncos. Cowboys are like a little bit of a feisty team, like a little frisky. That offense has looked like one of the best units in the NFL. They were humbled against the Broncos. They lost 44-24. That defense is awful. And I don't know if they've got a path to the playoffs or not. I think it's going to be tough for them. Colts beat the Titans 38-14, another huge win for them. And then the Packers came back to beat the Steelers. They scored 28 points in the second half, 21 points in the fourth quarter. Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers couldn't do anything. Tucker Kraft, the tight end for the Packers, had 7 catches for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. They just got Christian Watson back, their receiver. I don't know what the status is of Zach Tom, their right tackle, but he went down with an injury. He's been injured on and off. Just got to keep an eye on that team. But if you look at the overall NFC standings, if we go and we look at that, then we look at the conference right now, the Packers are first place, 5-1-1. Then it's the Eagles and Bucks at 6-2. And then you've got the Lions, the Seahawks, and the Rams at 5-2. And then right now, the 49ers are the 7th team at 5-3. The Bears are right behind them at 4-3. And then the Panthers are 4-4. So it's a weak NFC. If you go by point differential, which is a different way to look at it. It's not a tiebreaker or anything. You get the Lions, the Rams, the Seahawks, the Packers, the Eagles, the Bucks, the Commanders. Those are the teams with a positive point differential. Yes, the Commanders, who have an under 500 record. But the Seahawks have the third best point differential. They're 1 point behind the Rams going into this week. And the Lions are number one. They're all pretty tightly bunched up there. So it's gonna be close. It's gonna be close. And I like where the Seahawks are. I think the Seahawks are in a good spot, but man, they got to take care of business. And I'm really curious to see who practices later today, what Mike McDonald says at the press conference, and we'll kind of go from there. I will be in DC for this game. And then obviously do all the stuff that we always do leading up to it. I know Thursday this week, I'm excited to have Matt Harmon from Reception Perception join for a show. We'll talk about what's going on with the Seahawks receivers, passing game, and even a little Nicky Manwari, who he's been impressed by watching other players on the receiver side go against him. So we'll have all that on Thursday. Tomorrow we'll have Matt Hasselback, as we always do. And I'm still working on who's going to be a guest on Wednesday. So keep an eye on that. Hopefully StreamYard, my service provider, will stop having an outage and I'll be able to use them so we don't have this crappy view. But that will probably do it. If you haven't already, make sure you give the show a like and click subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Go to simplyseattle.com. Use promo code HawkBlogger15 to get 15% off the best Seahawks, Seattle, sports gear, Mariners, Huskies, whatever you like. 15% off of code HawkBlogger15. Download the Sleeper app. Right now, there's free $20, no deposits required. If you use promo code HAWKS, you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today and go to jkboots.com/hawkblogger and get a great deal on the best boots you'll ever put on your feet. You can see my JK boots there. Back. Why can't I do that? Right there. Those are actually a special pair of JK boots with the Hawkblogger brand on them. Only second of one of two pairs that exists. So those are pretty cool, but those aren't the ones I wear. Anyway, have a great rest of your Monday. We're in it for the finish now, folks. So lots of fun stuff coming. Until next time, I'm Brian Nemhauser. This has been another episode of Hawkblogger Mornings. Take care.